Welcome back. While People of South Africa Foundation is appealing for more funding to help repatriate South Africans still stuck in the Ukraine, Founder Gilbert Martin joins us for this conversation now. Gilbert, thank you so much for your time this morning. Let's talk a little bit about just some of the realities that you've come to understand of what's happening when it comes to, the situation on the ground in the Ukraine, with some students, some citizens actually wanting to leave the country in pursuit of coming home.
Yeah, Sibo, thank you for inviting me this morning. The problem is, it's not just a case of bringing those people home. The misconception is send a plane and fly them home, or pay for a commercial ticket and get them back here. The problem is there's documentation. While they're trying to resolve their documentation, there is a phenomenal amount of needs that these people have. So you have a situation where a woman is busy giving birth in Romania, for example, very close to birth, and they've lost everything. They just managed to get across the border. She can't leave back or forward until the baby is born, probably a time after that. So we've reached out to other organizations to help us there. The students are still hoping that they'll get into some form of university. There's some that you interviewed earlier that are in refugee camps, assisting people there. I think it's chaos, but it's ordered chaos at this point. So we know where everybody is and what the needs are. People are still creeping out of the woodwork that aren't being helped by Diko and the Department of Home Affairs. And we're just bouldering forward to help them, get them home. Once they're home, we have to resettle them and then try and figure out their futures with them. That's what we all have to do.
Gilbert, let's talk a little bit about the Department of International Relations and where Diko is sitting in terms of just liaising with you and the communications thereof. Are you satisfied with the manner in which this has been handled and with the way in which Diko has come to the party? Do you feel that Diko has come to the party enough? I see you shaking your head already at that answer, but maybe you can just expound a little bit in terms of what the reality of communication has been between government as well as civil organizations who are trying to do their bit to bring these people back.
I'm disappointed, beyond disappointed. Diko, I think the ambassadors are doing what they can. We've worked with them in the beginning. We're not working with them now. We have to for the sake of documentation and that sort of thing. Clayson and I'm also extremely disappointed in him. And the reason is all other governments, we spoke to Johan yesterday when he landed in Johannesburg, and all other governments, 2 weeks before the drama hit, they told the people to get out. Our government's policy is a no repatriation policy, firstly. So if you're there, it's your problem. The second thing that we have is they're not being very helpful with documentation. I'll explain that in detail now. But the third most disappointing thing is just the simple thing of saying to your people, hello guys, this is not a safe environment. Please, while you're in Europe or in the Ukraine, consider coming home and sitting here on the beach and watching what's happening there until this is either blown over or, at least you're home and safe. They don't have a policy to do that. So there's no warning for our people to say, come home. And this puts the students specifically in a very precarious position, because without the government giving them a letter to say, come home, they can't get back into those universities.
Gilbert, you were saying that they're not coming to the party enough when it comes to documentation. Can you just expound for us a little bit more around what exactly that means and what are they supplying really at this stage?
A lot of grief. That's the only thing that they're supplying, but that's usual for a government department for dragging his feet. I'm going to give you a few examples. I'll try and be as brief as possible. But, for example, you'll have a Ukrainian wife and a South African husband. The child was born in the Ukraine. All they have is a Ukrainian birth certificate. Now there's an issue bringing the child here because it's Ukrainian and doesn't have a passport. It's not like you can go across the border and go ask the embassy, please give me a passport. Then you have the situation where people are asking for resident, not resident, family resident, relative visas, basically, to say that we're relatives of South Africans. That'll be your grandmother, mother, auntie, or, just a sibling that is married into your stepchildren. basically. And they have to then go and provide police clearance, I kid you not, and get a TB certificate in the country of residence. These people are sitting in Hungary, Poland, Slovakia, Moldova, but they must go back to Ukraine to go and get a police clearance certificate. It's just, it's mind-boggling how this is not really thought through. I don't blame them. None of us expected this crisis. We didn't even expect Putin to make such a very bad move, not just for him, but for the rest of the world. But we should have had processes in place and realized that these guys are not going to get a police clearance certificate from Kiev when they're sitting in Ukraine and the Russians are busy bombing the hell out of Kiev. And it's very frustrating and it's very slow. And when you speak to the ambassadors are waiting for the Department of Home Affairs. When you speak to, we actually can get through somebody at Home Affairs, then it doesn't happen. I've reached out to Lunga and to Naledi Pandor.
Yeah.
I even went left tank on him. They just didn't bother responding. And even the media's had the same treatment from them.
Yeah. Gilbert, you know, when you're saying and you're painting this bleak picture in terms of the lack of communication that's coming in on behalf of government, it makes one wonder just why is it that we're struggling to get our ducks in a row when it comes to just understanding that these are South African citizens who would love to be given the option of coming home, or at least even the support and the knowledge of how to go about it. And if we can't even find synchronization in terms of how even documentation is dispersed, that in itself is a problem. So, okay, apart from government now, what can civil society do to come to the party to help? Because ultimately there is a war going on and some people don't want to, or many people don't want to be in that war. How do we come to help? Well,
we're taking a multifaceted approach. I mean, I've reached out to MTOs from GIFT. I've reached out to multiple guys and said, you know, let's do this as a united front. We've managed to get 2 students home. We were supposed to bring the others home, but government tried to save face, and Aspen helped them, and Aspen did a phenomenal job bringing those students home. Saved me a lot of frustration in the beginning. There are a lot of families now that we need documentation sorted. They need stuff, okay, food. Organizations in Europe and families have been extremely helpful to our people. And with that said, we also need to help them and other countries who have helped us. It's always fair. We can't take, we need to give back. Yeah. We need to, when they get here, we need to resettle them. We need to help our students when they get here to get them back into institutions. It all just seems to be in the air and nobody seems to be saying, okay, this, and this needs to be done, and we do it. So civil society, we've reached out, multiple platforms, asked them, reach out to us, corporate companies, connect with us. We need to do much more than we can because it is going to become a bigger problem.
Yeah. Gilbert, I hear you, and I'm hoping that you can have more civil society coming on board to help repatriate these South African citizens. Gilbert Martin, the founder of the People of South Africa Foundation, just giving us the realities in terms of what is being done and just some of the navigation that needs to happen to just repatriate South African citizens that are still stuck in the Ukraine.